Hey guys, Invest Soup with Mark McMahon. I'm Mark. Thanks for joining, where we talk about all things real estate agent and investing, where I teach you guys and help you guys learn different techniques to make more money, close more deals, and invest for yourself so that your future is secure. Today, I want to talk about exactly what I do. This is the first podcast I'm doing on this genre, so I want to make sure that you guys understand what you're getting yourselves into, and I guarantee you, you will get more out of this than anything you've ever listened to if you're a real estate agent that's looking to invest. Why? Because I've been doing it for 15 years and I'm actually pretty darn good at it. So anyway, put your seatbelt on, let's get going. So a little backstory about myself and how I got started, and then we'll talk about you because that's why you're here. So 15 years ago, my wife and I were contractors, and the recession hit. We lost our businesses. And during that time, previous to that, I'd got my real estate license and done a couple of deals. And I decided to go into real estate full-time after our construction businesses lost all of their business. But the problem was it was very difficult to find clients at that time. Almost everything was a short sale or a foreclosure. And so I struggled for a while. I didn't understand the way the game was being played. I saw a lot of agents making a lot of money, and I saw a lot of agents leaving the business. At that particular time, I was actually working for the banks, servicing foreclosures, where I would go in and change the locks. I would actually do the physical evictions. We would go there with the sheriff and do that. That was an awful thing. I hated it. And then we would do cleanups and actually remodels. So we were basically flipping for the bank. And I learned a lot about flipping then, as far as what we needed to do and what was acceptable and what was too much. And so that was a great start for the flipping business. But what I really learned is that the people that were buying these houses were the ones that were making the money. They were buying low. They were either A, renting them out, or B, they were flipping them. And I got to know some of these guys, and I eventually decided, even though I was broke at the time, that I wanted to go to an investment club and learn a little bit more about this investing thing. And I went. And I ended up signing up for a course on how to wholesale houses. And then I took another course on private money. And I learned what I thought then was enough to get going. And we did. We jumped in with both feet, both of my wife and I. And we ended up getting 2 houses under contract during that first 30 days of this course that we took. And we were off to the races. Now, of course, during that time, there was lots of massive highs and massive lows as we were kind of learning our way through it. But overall, we came up with a program that worked really, really well. As agents, we would go out and find deals for other investors because we needed to keep money coming in all the time. So we got really good at working with other investors and finding them deals. And most of these were on the MLS. Some of them were, we would find off market, but most of them were on the MLS, and we got commissions for that. Then we ended up getting the relisting too after the flip was complete. That was part of our agreement, is that we'll bring you these deals, we'll get you into them, but we want to get the listing. And we ended up doing very well with that. And then we started doing our own flips. We made some money, and we were able to actually do some flips and raise some private capital. And fast forward 15 years, now we do 6 or 7, 6 or 12, higher end flips, not high end, but, high net flips every year. We own quite a few rental properties, and we do a lot of other kinds of things that are real estate related that bring in cash every single month. And what I want to do in this podcast is share over, the next several months what it is exactly we do every day and how you can do the same thing so that you can not have to count on regular clients. In other words, retail clients where you're on the phones hours every day, which, by the way, works, and it works really well. But for some of us, being on the phones all day is just not our thing. And this is something that we did that doesn't require a whole lot of phone work. Now, yeah, You have to be on the phone talking to other agents with listings. You have to be on the phone talking to your investors, but you're not cold calling for 2 to 3 hours straight every day and door knocking and doing those other things that other people are doing. And you have the extra added bonus of being able to invest, which of course, as real estate agents, we all know there's not a really great retirement plan here. Obviously, I have nothing to count on income-wise unless I set that up now and I have cash flow coming in later on. Social Security is not going to be much of a thing, and there's no retirement program. So that's why we do what we do. We make our money as flippers, and that's the money we live on, and then we build our real estate portfolio along the way so that we can live on that later on. So guys, if that sounds interesting, that's what we're going to be talking about. So today what I want to do is talk about how you can get started with doing what I do so that you can make a decent living and start investing. So the first thing I want you guys to sit down and do is think about who is it in your area. And actually what I'd like you to do is take out a piece of paper and write down right now, stop the video, write down any investors in your area that you know. Maybe you've worked with people before and you're gonna say, I'm 9 times out of 10, I'm gonna say, most real estate agents will tell me, yeah, I've tried to work with investors before, but they never buy anything, right? I show them property after property after property, but they don't ever buy. And I know I've dealt with that too, where both sides of the coin, where investors have, I've shown investors many properties that they didn't buy. And I've had real estate agents, even though I am one, I've had real estate agents bring me deals because I get the same phone calls that the investors get. It's like, Mark, I know you're an investor, I know you're a real estate agent, but if I bring you a deal, will you let me represent you? And I go, it's like, yeah, hell, I don't care. I just want the deals. And they'll show me tons of properties that don't work. And there's a communication issue that exists between real estate agents and investors. And it typically is lack of education, lack of communication. And what it is I say, look, guys, I'm looking for a house in this area, and my budget is $500,000, and I want it to do this, and this as far as the money is concerned. And then the real estate agents will invariably bring me things that don't match my criteria. And I try to explain it to them over and over. This is exactly what I need. But unfortunately, they're not listening most of the time, because what's stuck in their head is like, but here's a very common scenario. So a real estate agent will bring me a deal and I'll say, look, I need to have at least a $200,000 spread on anything under, let's say, $500,000. Sounds ridiculous, right? So it's a $500,000 house value once it's fixed up, and I have to buy it at $300,000. It's like, most people say those opportunities don't exist, but I'm here to tell you they actually do, and they're out there if you look hard enough. But invariably, agents will bring me a house that has a $500,000 ARV after repair value. That's what it's going to sell for after you fix it up. And they bring it to me for $400,000. That doesn't work. Or I say, look, the highest offer I can make on this is $300,000 because, again, I got $75,000 in repairs. I got, 5 times 5? I got $25,000 in selling costs. I've got holding costs, I've got insurance and utilities, and I've got to pay interest on the money that I borrowed, and all these things add up, and I want to make $75,000 on these deals, minimum. And the numbers just don't add up with a $100,000 spread. I mean, right there, we got 75, we got 50, we got 25, we've got way more than $100,000 just in costs. So that's where the disconnect is. Right? So agents are bringing me things that I don't want. They're getting upset because I'm not buying the things that I don't want. Or they are finding me things that may work, but there's extensive repairs that don't make sense. So they don't know how to evaluate it from a construction standpoint, and they don't know how to evaluate it from a business standpoint, i.e. whether it's going to be a buy and hold or a flip. So that is what I figured out. I figured out that disconnect, and I learned how to work with investors so that they would buy properties from me, right? So I wasn't out showing properties all day long. I make it very clear that, look, guys, if we're going to go out and look at this property, it's a foregone conclusion that you're going to buy it if it meets your criteria when you see it. And so you've got to get the investor on your side, and then you've got to be on the investor side, right? You've got to be able to communicate with them what you're bringing to the table, and they've got to be able to communicate to you what they need, what their needs and wants are. Once you can get that all working together, the glory of doing what we do is that every single person out there that's an investor is going to buy over and over and over, right? They're not going to just buy one and fade away. If it does happen. I mean, you'll get people that don't know what they're doing. They'll go for their first flip. They don't know what they're doing, and they end up losing money. Then they go back to doing whatever it was they did before. And from then on, flippers are stupid, and so is flipping and investing in real estate and all things related to it, right? That's kind of their attitude. We're not looking for those people. We're talking about people like me that flip, 6 to 12 properties a year. Some people flip 20 or 30 properties a year, whatever the case may be. Those are the folks you're looking for. And if you can supply them with, think about this, even if you only get maybe 2 or 3 a year for them, and they're getting things from other sources, and you've got 20 of these people, you're gold. You are absolute gold. You're going to spend all your time, I know, you're going to spend all your time looking at properties, evaluating properties, figuring out which ones work, which ones don't. But isn't it really kind of the same thing you're doing for your clients on the retail side? The only difference is those retail clients are only buying every 6 or 7 or 10 or 12 or 15 years, whereas your investor clients are going to keep buying over and over and over. And the kicker on this, you guys, as an agent, is you negotiate listing that property after they're done with it. And now I list all of my own properties as a flipper. So when I tell you that I made $200,000 a year, $200,000 in 2022 as an agent, that was a combination of what money I saved by listing my own properties, what money I made by buying properties as a real estate agent for myself, and a couple of clients that I had, and I'm very particular about the clients I take. They have to be low drama, and it has to be a fairly high ticket item for me to take on a listing or to take on a buyer. And I found a few of those last year, a couple of them, not a few, just a couple. So about $100,000 from the clients and about $100,000 from saving money on my own listings and making money from buying my own properties. I'm not representing a lot of investors anymore, simply because, quite frankly, I've kind of graduated from that. I don't do that because most of the properties that make sense for me, I keep, right? And if it doesn't make sense for me, sometimes it doesn't make sense for somebody else. On occasion, I'll send a property out to my investor list, and they'll buy it. But for the most part, I keep most of those. And you'll get there eventually too, where you're doing all that for yourself. But in the beginning, what I want you to do, because most of you are here because you want to make more money, right? I want you to go out and look for investors that you can work with and learn how to run those numbers. Learn what they're looking for and figure out how you can meet more investors. And we'll talk about that in further podcasts so that you guys, I'm not going to leave you in the dark on that. There's certain things, steps that you can do to take to find these people and to run the numbers and do all that. So we will be talking about that. So hopefully this is a short podcast. Hopefully that kind of gives you an idea in a nutshell of what I plan on doing with this channel. If some of you know me from, Instagram or YouTube or TikTok. So for a few years now, I've been educating newer investors on how to get started in the game. But it's kind of funny. I don't know, probably about 2 or 3 months ago, I kind of had this awakening. It was one of those things where I thought, I really kind of want to go back to my roots. And when I first started getting on social media, it was for real estate agents. I wanted to learn what made real estate agents not want to invest. And what I learned was it wasn't that you don't want to invest, it's that you don't know how to get started. It's daunting. You're bringing properties to people all day long that seem to have unlimited money, but you yourself don't have unlimited money. So how do you get started? And those are other things that we'll talk about during this podcast so that you guys can actually get going as real estate agents. Nothing more powerful than being a real estate investor. A lot of people say, well, there's a lot of conflict of interest. Baloney. Guys, as an investor and a real estate agent, you have the best of both worlds. You also have access to deals before they come onto the market if you're in an office that has a lot of agents. So guys, buckle up. I want to teach you what I know, and I want you guys to succeed. So I look forward to seeing you every week. If you want more information on what I do, please go to my website at Mark McMahon, that's MCMAHON, realestate.com, and you can see exactly what we do and how we can help. All right, guys, thanks so much for being here, and I'll see you next time.